eventually, as Sister Audrey will know more than me, it built up till the Ansman them come now. So now that the Ansman them come, so room good man. Everybody hear me? Not good. Mike, where the mic them there?
Everybody I'll tell you that.
But them say no, don't me not sure. Anyway, yeah. So here we are. Know that the man them there will draw some of these instrumental tunes when I grow up on. Okay, so nice. Alright, thanks. Yeah, so we're going to start with one tune here. Being that we originate from Rockford. Rockford Rock. some more songs. Do you have any requests? Sata Masagana. You ready? Sata. 8 minor.
time I see national anthem right on a paper and Matt to say Ethiopia, the land of our fathers. Believe you me. I can't get used to that one yet, you know. And look how old me be. Anyway, good afternoon, good day. I know that most of you know what you are gathered here for. This is a tribute to one of the elders of the Rastafari movement from them days there, Douglas Mack, otherwise known as Brother Dougie. And we are here to really commemorate this great man and the works that he did over the years for the African community and the Rastafari community, even from the East. And we always say the musicians come from the East and the singers come from the West. And you can check it out and see if it's like me I tell. The musicians, them really put that meat and solid vibration in context as it relates to Jamaican music. Even when there's no singers on it, who can forget the Scatterlights and the name that they gave to the music? You know, when you see the name, them, you know where the man them are deal with. So we give thanks for this gathering, and we want to say give thanks to Herbie Miller to put this thing together here, because I know it's him control downtown, he don't know the mayor, but I run down so every time he keeps something like that, I keep it. And that's not even one time we do it, want to build up and fix up. Okay, so for those of you who don't have a program, I could tell you what's going to happen here. We're going to have a greetings and remarks from Herbie Miller, a message from the Honorable Oliver Grange, OJCD, MP, Minister of Culture, Gender, Environment, Entertainment and Sport. Then we're going to have a video presentation, and then we're going to have a tribute from Barbara Makeda Blake, as we know her as. And then we're going to have a brethren who most of you might not know, but the whole of New York know him, Abte Selassie, first man to interview me in a radio station when I go to America. Him still have the program after I think about 40 years now, maybe a little older than me too. I don't know, but a long time I'm there. I see him a while ago. I never ever know see him. And then we're going to have a panelist, a discussion here with two men. Alan Cole, everyone know Alan Cole, one of the greatest footballer ever in the Western world, yeah. And Jerry Small, one of the greatest, not forgetting nothing man in the world, yeah. I tell you, the man don't forget nothing. Trust me. When you hear the man talk, man, it's, when I say like a book, it's like the man that carry you go forward into what he might talk about. And you can actually see what him say. You know, Jamaican people say, you see what him say, instead of hear what them say. Well, this man has see what him say and see what you are here. So, and then we're going to have a tribute. Douglas Ewart, yes, Ewart. And a performance, well, we hear them already, but we're going to hear them again. Performance by Mystic Revelation of Rastafari, and then the closing remarks. So, we hope, say, what is offered here will be something to value and something to appreciate. And a lot of things will be said that you never hear before. And you will keep in yourself. For myself, I started as a little youth, a pass through Vineyard Town, and then end up at Homestead Road. Anybody know Homestead Road? With Cedric Imbrooks. Anybody didn't know Cedric Imbrooks, that's all. Yeah, everybody didn't know Douglas Mack. Rico Rodriguez. A whole heap of man used to gather up on a little road, and as a youth I go hear them and really enjoy them and things, and then go find out, say, them man, I did really, I said some things. Mystic Revelation of Rastafari did really come out with an album where it's the first album where portray Rastafari vibration, authentic, in the earth. 3 album, not even CD, you know there. 3 albums, and the man them go tour with an album like that. All over the place. Up to now, we don't see that happen again. But as we said, the music live on. And long before the reggae music did what it is now, the man did a push a different kind of vibes. And the sweetness about it, that them never lacks. Yes, I want to know that. It's not some lax man. About a call clean shave. When I maybe have a clean shave, because all of them have beard. Comb some. The hungry man where I know used to pass through David Locks was Plano. And as a youth still, we used to go, anybody know a Cara? A club named Clara used to do out of Bulway there. Yeah, Meritone used to play out there. As a youth, I run go all of them places, you know. Me was a baby, you know, believe it or not. As hardcore as the year Muta Baruka is, he used to love Meritone. And then it turned into a Rambe theater. Plano and all them man there, even look at them used to go out to go perform certain poetry and plays and all them something there. Now it's a black factory. It's black all the way, trust me. So, as we say, we hope you sit back and enjoy the offering and we give thanks. So now we're going to open Herbie Miller with the Honorable Oliver Grange. I hope him ready. All right. My consult with the consult. Him say, man, no con man. All right.
Give thanks, Virgil. Give thanks, Muta. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Give thanks for turning up for this occasion. It's a worthy one. It makes us reflect. We reflect because, as Muta was indicating, as youth in East Kingston, we ran from here to there, listening and experiencing music and reasoning. In most of the spaces, we could not or dare not even enter because we were brought up to fear the dreaded Rastaman. But when you're in a community where in the still of the night, the sea breeze blows the sound of the drums, and as you lay in your bed in your parents' house, you feel the vibration of the drum. You get to realize the calling, that which is embedded in all of us, though only emerging out of some of us. The call back home, way back home. And I grew up in that kind of environment, and I'm happy to see some of the young men, as we were back then, what younger people call today as elder among us. People from Beaumont Gardens, people from Springfield, Vineyard Town, and what today we call Norman Range. Before that it was simply called Range. And what we did not realize is that which we were not taught in school, because I'm talking pre-1962. We rose to the British anthem. We closed the end of the day with a pledge song. But we were hearing other things happening, and that is what brought out that which was embedded in us. And as soon as we were able to, we found the Akaras, we found Poker Flats, we found Wembley Ballpark, we found those spaces where people like Dougie Mack, who was on the other side of Beaumont Gardens. And funny enough, there's no road or avenue that connects Doncaster to Bournemouth Gardens, nor Bournemouth Gardens to Springfield. And by the way, you hear the name of those three places? Doncaster, Bournemouth, and Springfield. Very English, very colonial. And we all lived in a community where it was pretty much mixed, and but for the seafront, where all the Caucasians lived. And it's in that environment that some of us had a very close relationship with Dougie Mack, and others had a distant relationship. You know who the brethren was, but all of us did not have the lion heart as people like Alan and Jerry at that youthful time to find ourselves in the midst of it. So we are today to honor that brethren, teacher man, because we didn't realize that what we were experiencing were history classes and civics classes and classes in international relations. How imperialism and colonialism controlled us and our people wherever we were, until such time when we understood a little better even those Tudor and Tudor periods we were studying in school and its relationship to colonialism and imperialism. So teachers like Dougie Mack and Johnny Moore, Tommy McCook over on Slipdock Road were some of those elders. We didn't see them as such. We just saw them as, in Dougie's case, a bigger boy to us, and in Tommy's case, a man. That's what informed my own life and how I interpret this life based on all of the things that we have experienced and continue to experience. I won't say anymore, because who and what Douglas Mack is will be revealed today when a panel of very close students, brethren, themselves today, teachers and philosophers, sit to discuss Dougie Mack. So I welcome you again through the Institute of Jamaica, the Jamaica Music Museum, and indeed the Ministry of Culture. Thank you so much. I am tasked once again. You know, I love to use cricket analogies because I'm a better cricketer than Alan, though he's a master baller. And I was never an opening batsman, though on many of these occasions, bowlers, you know, they call on me to open the innings. And anyway, today, they call me in from being the 12th man to come one down. So that means you're supposed to can score runs, right, bowler? So I'm therefore tasked with bringing you the message from the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange. It's my honor to do so. It goes. Well, on her behalf, good afternoon. To quote Minister Grange, Rastafari elder, Brother Douglas Mack, was an early leader in the Jamaican religious movement that sought repatriation. Every time I see that word today is reparation on my mind. Repatriation to Ethiopia, and who met Emperor Haile Selassie. The emperor presented him with a gold medal during his visit to Jamaica in 1966. Elder Mack was one of the 4 Rastafarian brethren living in Warwicker Hill, East Kingston, including Brother Sam Clayton, Brother Fillmore Alvarenga, and Mortimer Planner, who was actually from the West but frequented the East. They traveled on the first government-sponsored mission to Ethiopia in 1961 to investigate the possibility of repatriation, and that was welcomed in several African nations, including Ethiopia. He was also a member of the second mission to Africa, which was invited by Emperor Selassie to spend several weeks in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The East Kingston group of Rastafarians included Nyabingi drummer Count Ozzy, leader of the Mystic Revelation drummers, and their presence caused the East Kingston community to become a major cultural center in the movement. Dougie Mack was a major advocate for equality in Jamaica, as well as the pen and spokesman for the movement, at a time when most Rastafarians had no voice in society. He was one of the first educated Rastas to help the movement go global in the 1950s and 60s, before musicians such as Peter Tosh and Bob Marley. His book, From Babylon to Rastafari, is a biography and respected classic history of the missions to Africa and the early years of the Rastafari movement. Mack's high level of education was instrumental in erasing the class barriers he had been traditionally associated with the Rastafari culture, and he attracted more middle and upper class Rastas to challenge the colonial prejudice and strengthen black pride in Jamaica. Both Prime Ministers Michael Manley and Edward Seaga highly respected him and were always interested in what he had to say when he gave interviews or speeches. He remained non-political, but forever an activist of the underserved. Jamaica and the Rastafari movement have been enriched by the life of Brother Dougie Mack, and I pay tribute to his contribution to Jamaican life and culture. I send condolences to his family and the friends who knew and befriended him, and from his presence in Jamaica and the world. End of quote from the Honorable Olivia Grange. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so moving on. We're going to have a video presentation. A short video presentation. All right. We're going to have a short video presentation.
Boisterous, tumultuous welcome ever given to any visiting or local celebrity, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia, arrived. The crowd erupted into a frenzy of rejoicing as they broke through the lines of soldiers and police and surged out onto the tarmac, eager to engulf the Emperor with their affection. The ceremonial welcome that was planned had to be abandoned as the avalanche of men, women, and children swept away all semblance of order. His Imperial Majesty was introduced to many dignitaries and members of the Rastafarian cult in full regalia. The Emperor afterwards presented gold medallions to the Rastafarians.
Yeah, man, that's sweet. Short and sweet for you. But if you want some more, you can go on YouTube, you know. It's up on YouTube. More right up on YouTube. Okay. We're going to move now to a tribute from Barbara Makeda Blake.
Blessed love. Wadu Amlak. Blessed love in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. True, I don't hear no prayers yet, you know. I feel I just had to bring my little prayers. I hope ones and ones appreciate what I had to say. I wrote my tribute to Dougie Mack many years ago when I wrote my book, Growing Out, Black Hair and Black Pride, because I wanted Dougie Mack to be able to see and know what I had to say about him. I put it in a book and I gave a copy to the family. And what I read here to you today is that tribute I paid to Dougie Mack then. I came home to Jamaica in 1972, interested in the political potential of Rastafari's Afrocentric philosophy as a way to build a new Jamaica. But there was little instruction among the uptown people whom I was supposed to mix with, who were then espousing the philosophy of democratic socialism. I searched among them in vain to try to get to know more about Rastafari. So I struck out into the unknown. I said to a Rasta man I met on the fringe of one of the political meetings, I want to become a Rasta. He looked at me to see if I was serious, then said, I will take you to the teachers. He drove me down to East Kingston, to Slipdock Road off Windward Road, where we picked up a man with a saxophone, whom he introduced as Tommy McCook. Then he drove further east up to Warwicker Hill, to the Glasspole Avenue home of Brother Dougie Mack, my first Rasta teacher, who was to become the foundation of my knowledge of the history and livity of Rastafari. This was the place I came to call heaven, where some of my good friends used to live. It was not a place many people could visit. The people who lived in heaven were very choosy about who they allowed to come there. Heaven was a colony of dwellings on the hillside of Warwicker, the notorious haven of the poor and criminals where Rastafari bloomed after its escape from the razing of the West Kingston Dungle or Dunghill, where they had made their humble homes. Heaven was a place where Count Ozzy first started beating his Rasta drums to celebrate the mystic revelation of Rastafari. Heaven was the place the police continually busted open when they raided looking for ganja and criminals. Heaven was a place with a most beautiful view of Kingston. If they caught an intruder in heaven, the residents might sometimes strip them naked and force them to walk back down the rocky pathways to civilization on the main Windward Road and public embarrassment. Page 2. But if you were a welcome guest in heaven, you could sit and smoke a fragrant spliff and listen to the longtime residents and elders of Rastafari discuss life, the world, and the greatness of God, Jah Rastafari. The criminals of heaven were what one friend of mine called the rebel slaves of an unjust society, men whose alternative to starvation was robbery and violence, the only means of livelihood for those who found themselves adults and near adults in a society in which they were not equipped to earn a living, except as manual laborers, an occupation with greater supply than demand in the Jamaican ex-slave colony. The criminals of heaven could be identified by the sweet harmonies they produced when gathered around a guitar in a hymn of praise to Zion, harmonies perfected in the many years of confinement in the hell of the General Penitentiary, Kingston, where they served lengthy and unjust sentences for smoking, possessing, and selling the holy wisdom herb, decreed a crime, or for releasing their anger and frustrations in acts of robbery or violence. It was in heaven that I first learned about the equality of man, the possibility of a world in which each received according to their needs, gave according to their ability, and lived in love with their fellow men and women. The residents of heaven called this philosophy communalism and said it came from Africa. On moonlight nights, when the shacks and houses of heaven's hillside were clearly outlined, the residents would be lulled to sleep by the rhythms and harmonies of Nyabingi Rastafari singing and drumming coming from Count Ozzy's yard nearby. In the peace and love which filled the entire hillside community, men hiding in the hills from police arrest would creep gently down through the maca bushes and gather in the dark of mango trees to add their sweet harmonic voices to the concert of praise to the Creator, Jah. We sat on stools among some men sitting in the shade of a zinc shelter at the back of Brother Dougie's yard. He built me a spliff, and as I lit it, Tommy McCook took up his saxophone and began to blow some of the sweetest music I'd ever heard. The men around me smiled and made happy noises. One picked up an empty cooking pot and began beating a rhythm on the bottom. Two others began to sing in harmony. There began the happiest days of my life. Here, with the dirt of Brother Dougie's yard under my expensive London shoes, with the smoke of the wood fire mixing with the smoke of ganja spliffs and chillum pipes being puffed by strange-looking men sitting all around me, I began my growing up as a Rasta. I was so happy. I was smiling and smiling and smiling. Being in that backyard so far away from everything and anything I'd ever experienced in my life before was simply the most wonderful experience of my entire life. It was a wonderful rebirth, the start of a new life in a Jamaica I'd never known before, never even knew existed. I was truly born again, right there that night in 1972 in Dougie Mack's yard, a completely new person, given a chance to live my life all over again. A door had opened into a new world, and I was so very glad to be entering it, like an explorer finding a new civilization on a new planet. Brother Dougie's home became the fountain of my knowledge, my education, and my development into the person I am today. Heaven, what sweet memories. Thank you, Dougie Mack.
That was wonderful. Yeah, man, sweet, sweet, sweet. So, you know, there's a saying that they say that Haile Selassie, speaking of Haile Selassie, they said, if the world had listened to this little man, World War II would have never begun. We can safely say, if Jamaica was listening to the Rasta man, all we say so would have never gone. Right. And now we say that the stone that the builder refused become the building. What them going to do with it, because them can't get rid of it again. Yeah, it's like a COVID. Can't get rid of it. The more them go so, the more we go so. I will give thanks for that, because it showed that man like Dougie and them man, they already there. Them live on in the hearts and minds of the Rastafari Virgin and Sister, who stand up now with the word of Haile Selassie the First. Haile! Yes, can't stop it again. So, I don't know we're going to do this. We're up there. After Selassie. We want to set up this thing and make we know say something going to go on the stage. Where the microphone them there? Okay. We need 2 microphones. Who are the stage manager here, sir? The moderator is After Selassie. Trust me. The master of ceremonies, I know the stage manager, you know. I want to do that. Where the stage manager go set up the mic for the 2 man then. I mean, if you do it. All right, which one of them mic can work? All right, we need some cheer for the man. So I'm going to borrow one of them cheer, yeah? And put mic at all. And then borrow next cheer. Right, that's all. And then the next cheer. And then we need the mic. Okay, so meanwhile I'm setting up the mic. We want to Yeah, bless it. Eh? I work with something different as well. You understand? Yeah, all right. All right. We want to them a better chair, see it? We want to call Herbie, I bring them chair there. Hey, Herbie, you go like you older than me, Rasta. All right, we want to call After Selassie on the stage. He will be the moderator for this session. We want to call Alan Cole and Jerry Small on the stage. Well, we see Wooly Pachira come. Oh, me I miss out. So much cheer. Eh. Oh, next year there, you know. Sister Audrey Mack. She not coming. Eh? Okay, so it's just 2 of them then. Alan Cole and Jerry Small. Moderator After Selassie. That's it? Yeah, man. No. You're going to make him stand up. You're going to make him stand up.
Hugh Dago Scott going to join them.
Eh?
Hugh Dago Scott.
I will join them.
Yes, I just said.
Okay. Wait, hold on there. If you can't stand up and moderate, you must sit down. We're not deliberate, man. We're ready. All right, so here we are to know. And then you. Who is you? Not me, you. Hugh. Okay, I can't pronounce the H properly, so you have to excuse me. Hugh. And we have Dago Scott. Come. Yo. Yeah, put. Eh? Okay, so tell me. Okay, so Charmy and Mack will take our mother's space on the platform here. Everybody have a mic? With the moderator. All right, so now we're waiting on the moderator.
Moderator is here.
Him was here?
Is here.
Yeah, man. Him the Joseph on the stage too. I guess him belly start to move. I understand those kind of things, you know. You barely get tense, you know. So you have to do what you have to do. Okay. We want to remind you that Herbie Miller has always been doing these kind of things right here. And we give thanks to know, say, a place like this can be open to evil situations like these. Yes. Because there was a time when if a Rasta man ever stand up outside of the gate, so I don't know where them get telephone from to call police, but that is how it would go. We give thanks for no so Rasta man can come inside us or come sit down. On a Sunday. Yes. On a Sunday. You know, that is a revolution in itself. And we want to tell Herbie to continue to do functions like these in this place. Yes. Welcome, my brethren. After Selassie, I understand your dilemma, brethren. I said, go. Okay. Okay. So we're going to turn it over to the moderator, Abte Selassie.
Good evening, everyone. Or as the first time I heard this phrase was in the presence of Douglas Mack, our brother Dougie. Peace and love. What does a moderator do? No, but we'll get it done. We're here to celebrate Douglas Mack. I was at a lecture given by a historian named Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan, and he said to the audience, name a great woman. And we all started shouting the names of these historically great women. And when we were kind of finished, he said, what about your mother? So, particularly to the Mack family, name a great man. The answer is Douglas Mack, a great man, because he has helped to spread the movement of Rastafari internationally. Didn't put a gun to nobody's head for it. Didn't develop a system of oppression. So we want to do some of that, that is getting into who he is, what he means to people, and some of the things in terms of what he was working for. We can talk about his legacy, and we'll get to that. And I guess I could begin by asking the panel, what does Douglas Mack mean to you? And the statement is we don't all have to start at the same time, you know, but that's the question to the panel. What does Douglas Mack mean to you? Anyone?
Greetings, everyone. So I guess as one of the younger members of the movement in those days, I was privileged as a youngster coming to Warwick Hills in the early 60s. I won't say early 60s, I'm talking about 62, 61, and those era. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I am Alan Cole. I'm sorry about that. So, you know, in the early days, I remember there were two brothers that lived in the vineyard. One of them name was Royal Benin. I know the Mack family knows him well because he would spend a lot of time with Doug in the latter days in Philadelphia. And one called Dennis Lowe went to Kingston College. I saw that quite a few people here, brothers here knew who Dennis Lowe was. But, you know, as youngsters, I was one of the youngsters one of the younger boys in those days who wanted to seek truth. I was sort of not really happy with the system that I grew up under in terms of when I went to school and I started doing history. The curriculum that was imposed on us for me wasn't really something that I adhered to, because it was limited and it was only what they wanted to tell us about, especially Caribbean history. We were limited. So the brothers used to, Dennis and Curtin used to say, you know, want to carry up to Gospel Avenue so you can listen and hear the brothers talk. So we used to venture to Gospel Avenue in the early days. Those days the gathering was known as Groundation. And the days that those events took place were like Battle of Ottawa, the birthday of His Imperial Majesty, and the coronation day and things like that. Those were the most important days of the calendar in those days that the Rastaman them used to celebrate in the hills. So going to Warwick Hill in those days, as you know, it was risky, especially as a schoolboy, because occasionally police will pass by, but because of the type of individuals that were there at that time, with Dougie Mack, Sam Clayton, Brother Phil, Count Azzy, Brother Moses, and others, it wasn't that the community wasn't that non-violent. It wasn't a violent community, and what those brothers were saying in those days was something that, you know, we could resonate because of the way they came over to us. So the first time I went to this groundation, I saw and I met Dougie Mack, which were the same two brothers that I mentioned earlier, Benny and Dennis Lowe. And the manner in which Dougie came over to me, when I heard him speak, I was so impressed that I looked at this man from head to toe. His mannerism was something to behold. And the way he spoke, it was something, I mean, you'd have thought you're at the highest level of an institution, a university professor. He was so calm, and you could feel the man. The energy that I got from him was something I never forget. You know, he was so efficient when he spoke about Africa and foreign affairs that I was wondering, I said, wait, this man should be in one of the institutions lecturing, you know? And what I got to learn more about Dougie, sorry, it was, anytime I met Dougie, he always had a newspaper in his hand. If it wasn't in his hand, it would be in his back pocket. And that really, I remember my father used to tell me, say, as a youngster, my father would read all the papers, and he used to say, every morning before you go to school, you have to read the Gleaner. And in the evenings, you have to come home and read the Gleaner. That was the type of way I was brought up. And when I saw Paul? So when I saw this man with that type of I'm trying to find the right word right now, but the way he was so eloquent, the way he was so humble, and the way he talked to us, it was it was something special. So from that time, I became what you call a student, if you want to call it so, of Dougie, Sam Clayton, and a man called Martin Muplana, who I met after. But Dougie was, to me, a special character in that when you met Dougie on the road and he greeted you, it was something you'll never forget, because his mannerism, as I will say again, was above the norm. His humility was special. But if you want to hear the truth, talk to Dougie Mack. And he wasn't one that compromised, regardless of who you are or what you may think of him. He was going to tell you the truth. Now, those days, we wanted to learn a lot of things about Africa. And Dougie, I don't know if some of these people here will remember, Dougie was a man that had a lot of books. And we'd go to Dougie and say, I want you to tell me, you have any books that I should read? And he would go for a book and say, take a look at this book, read. get some knowledge. And we used to borrow the book from Dougie, and we went and we read the book and came back to Dougie, and we understood a lot of things about Africa. Because Dougie was one of the person I remember in the early days when they had problems in Rhodesia. And we would question Dougie about how he saw the liberation movements in Africa. And when Dougie started to talk, he didn't want to hear him stop. When he stopped, sometimes he had to say, wait, give us some more. Because his knowledge was so wide, and he was spot on. He didn't, as I said, when Dougie talked about the liberation struggle in Rhodesia at that time, we got to understand more about what was taking place in Africa, because as you know, we were limited with certain knowledge. And Dougie was there for us to teach us and tell us what transpired and how Africa will liberate from the colonial masters. And he used to tell us, it's going to take a struggle, it's going to take a long struggle, but the African people come together and get the job done. And those words keep pondering in my head as a youngster who started to understand what was taking place and was briefed by himself and Sam Clayton. I don't want to leave out Sam Clayton because Sam Clayton was also one of the teachers. But I must say, although I was close to Sam too, because at the time Sam lived on Ellis Avenue, there was something about Dougie that made him special. You know, he was such an individual that it's rare in modern times. I could never, I mean, it was somebody that I would stop anywhere and I want to get 5 minutes from Dougie and they give me 10 and 15. That's the type of person he was. And he was such, I mean, he was non-violent, let me tell you, he was non-violent. But when it comes on to dealing in Southern Africa, when he talk, you know that he's a man that, yes, he had that little part of him like all of us sometimes. Because he would tell us that in Southern Africa, it won't be peaceful. Blood is going to shed, man will die, but man have to die for man to live. And for you to have changes, people have to die. And I never forget those words that he instilled in us. And yeah, there was something I always remember too. When we went to Groundation in those days, there was a time when Dougie would start talking, and when Dougie started talking, everything went still. You didn't hear no drums. You don't hear the Rastaman in chanting. Like if he said something that people really gravitated to, you'd hear a man shout, Rastafari. And he was just humble, calm, like what you call in our colloquial terms, cool as a cucumber. And he commanded all of us when Dougie started to talk. He would say, brethren, let me tell you something. The struggle is not just here in Southern Africa and here in Jamaica. It's a worldwide thing because the colonizers don't want to give up. That's what they used to say. They don't want to give up what they come to do. So it is going to take a long road, but it will eventually happen. But one of the things I always remember about Dougie and himself and Planner was two of the person that really, when I talk about how Europe was going to form, or the European Union was going to be formed, and that is what I tell people, that is in the early 1960s, when Dougie Mack was talking about the community that will be formed in Europe. I was saying to myself, what is this man really saying to me? It made sense, but I could understand beyond what he was saying in terms of how the community would have emerged and things like that. And Dougie was there telling us about trade and commerce and things like that. Now imagine that, 1963, 64, 62. this man was telling me about the formation of the European community that we now live to see today. Count how many years is that? That's almost 50 years, right? Yeah. 40 odd years going to, yeah. This man was telling me about how Europe will take its formation and the reason why and what were their plans. And today, I'm seeing it unfold. Now you tell me what kind of human being that was. You know? So, and I always remember, and I listened to him carefully, and I remember when I saw these things start to unfold, I'm saying to myself, this man was no ordinary man. This man was no ordinary man. This was a special man. And I must say to you, Martin Planner was also that person too, who had the same type of vision. Because I used to go to West Kingston in the early days and when I met Planner, and Planner was also spot on when it comes to international affairs. So, you know, because of people like Dougie Mack, we as youngsters who were coming up in that era, who were, well, in those days when you went to high school, and you start talking certain things, they used to say, them boy, you know, they used to say a lot of things about us. But we as youth who say we are conscious, because we consider ourselves to be a little ahead of our peers, because we were more looking in a different direction. Because you know, it is our parents went through a lot of things, and our parents were brainwashed, and I don't have to go through that. But they saw us, some of them saw us as, well, some of them saw us as rebel and all kind of things. And we were looked upon in certain look over here. It didn't matter to people like me. You know, we just know that we were a little bit more advanced in our thinking, and we saw the hurt different from them. And you know, later on in life, we saw most of these brothers in particular have arrived. They came to that level of consciousness that we had to embrace them. Some of them went in they became more extreme than us, but we welcomed them, and we didn't have nothing against them, because we understand the level of consciousness that we had acquired at those early age. Because it is just part of
skill.
How things.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. But
give thanks.
I have to tell it from the heart, you know. And it is. I hope we don't. Time is
always limited.
Well, my brother here, we went to school together, I must tell you.
Yeah.
And let me just
talk you can, as them say, you can finish the idea, but don't introduce a new one.
No. I don't. It's not going to. I just remember. I remember you when we went to school, my brother.
Yeah.
And I remember you well.
Yeah, man.
And
we know, you know.
We were a little bit
different.
Yes.
We were a little bit different.
Yes.
Excuse me. We were a lot different.
It's best for you to say that.
Thank
but
you.
I must say, Douglas Mack was special, and I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for his life, and I can never forget a man like Dougie Mack. You know, he was something extraordinary.
And the floor is still open as to what does Douglas Mack mean to me. That is, whoever else on the panel wants to
tackle.
Say
something quickly, you know.
Yeah. You know.
When I youth, when I was a youth, and me and my brother and sister, you hear me? It's not heard. Yeah, when I was a youth and me and my brother and sister and a little teenager, when I like boosting, So when all the people are boost up, I say, boy, we're not the first youth go to high school. So I have to make them know, say, you ever hear about Sterrett, and Douglas Mack, and Herman King? Sterrett go excels in 1942. And I'm a Rastafari, I'm a teenager. So I don't want nobody boost me up like say, we're the first and them gonna be. Anyway, Douglas Mack, I know. When I get to know him in about 64, before that, when the government was won by the British government, say it's only the Rastafari can successfully oppose the government of Jamaica. And they must take a special watch on them. And them start to arrest Rastafari and frame up overthrowing of government plan and thing. And Norman Manley knows if him not deal with it, it's going to be an explosion. Him start, on the recommendation of the university, him start select some people. And Herman King, the son of a well-known Jamaican, and his mother is a mayor, and him well-educated. Norman Manley, as the son of PNP people, did want to push Herman King upon the mission. And Herman King let them know, say, him cannot be put forward in front of Dougie Mack. Them don't have planners of dreadlocks already, and so on and so on. Anyway, I want to try to show you, say, if it was left to them, Dougie Mack couldn't go, but Herman King make them know, say, he will not accept any post on the mission when a man like Dougie Mack is there. Now, Dougie Mack, he was well known in the trade union field through the bauxite industry. And not only as a well-educated youth, and a member of a family where well-known and influential in the East, both the Mack family and the Aiken family and other families. But he is also a trade unionist, he is also a terrific skilled man in a professional life as a man working in the bauxite industry. So in his many facets now of this man, them see him as a danger in the bauxite industry. Them see him as a danger in the trade union field, because I'm not going to take no orders. Now take no orders from the union boss or represent worker. Well, no, him and some other man in a East Kingston farm up the Rastafari Brethren Repatriation Association. And Bongo Herman as a man who we know from me about 11-year-old and Herman about 16. I tell me about them man here in the East. That time I don't really so firm in a Rasta, but I hit me a gravitate to. And people start call. Most of us people start call we Rasta before we am Rasta, because they know where we're headed. They know where we are heading, because Rastafari is not a religion. It's some man take it and turn in a religion afterward. Rastafari is a liberation movement and an educational institution. And as I say, when Dougie Mack returned to Jamaica and to launch him book, him asked me to help him. It was my honor and pleasure to help him in 1999. Link him up back first with Planner. Him write some strong things in the book about Planner, but I'm not afraid enough. What he was saying about Planner is not no lie. Him never said to hurt Planner. Firstly, him not said to hurt Planner, you know, but him explain how certain things get humbug up. And you know, and him write it and him carry a book and give Planner, and him point out in the book what and what in the book him write about Planner, him not hiding. I have the photo of them when him and Planner meet, you know. And Planner so glad to meet him. And Planner quiet like a lamb. And you know, Planner is a man where box Doug already with an exercise book, you know. And Doug is a man fiercer than Planner, you know. Planner dreadful and terrible, you know, him have the appearance. Doug don't have the appearance, but Doug is a terrible man, you know, if him decide. You ever seen him with him knife yet? I want to stop talking.
You're good? Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. If I may say something quickly before Miss Mack takes the floor. He said Dougie wrote the truth not to hurt Plano, but to just speak the truth. And there's a difference between someone saying something that hurts your feelings and someone saying something to hurt your feelings. And one can't be responsible for your feelings, but one must be responsible for one's actions, so that we do things in love. Because love is something that will speak the truth. It don't mean that when I speak the truth, I don't love you. But love forces me. If I love you, I'm going to tell you the truth. All right. Miss Mack, what does Dougie Mack mean to you?
Peace and love, everybody. I'm Charmaine Mack Britton, the middle daughter of Douglas Mack. This is a very loaded question because as his daughter, he meant the world to me. Mm-hmm. But as a student of my father and a student of life, one of the first things that occurred to me was he was a rock. Not just for his family, but for the community. And when I think about my father, some of the things that occurs to me even today is what a community man he was, unselfish. I remember when we had a television and so many people living above us didn't have it. And he would pull the television onto the veranda so that any child who came out of a home could watch television when there were homes that they couldn't go into. And so I have no idea what it's like to grow up and not have people around us. Our home was the heart of the community. It really was. It was the community center. As early as 8 years old, and let me back up a little bit because Jerry and Alan spoke about the knowledge, and I grew up very aware of how knowledgeable my father was. He didn't care if we didn't bathe before we got to bed. My mother, you couldn't get away with that with. You had to brush your teeth, and you had to do your homework, and you had to read. That was important to him because he said knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So I grew up always knowing that I must always seek, and the rest of my siblings, the same thing. You have to be a student of life, always seeking. And I think sometimes when I look back now, I said, that's kind of what's missing. People like my father pushing the idea of upward, mobile, looking forward, looking ahead, making us stronger. He was always teaching us something. He even had Socratic seminars with his children. He would sit us around, all 6 of us, throw out a question. One of the questions I remember him asking, I probably was about 7, 8 years old. Can time be stopped? Who asked an 8-year-old that?
Douglas Mack.
Douglas Mack did. And he said, there's no wrong answer, but you must defend your answer. And he would not allow any of us to pass the question. Later on, when I went to college, I realized I was sitting in Socratic seminars all my life. And in this spirit, he gave his children a voice, and he gave so many other people a voice. Because when you were around him, just as much as he would speak, he would allow you to speak. And he would throw out the most profound questions that you're like, you had to stop and think. It was never a yes or a no question. So he also represented a voice of reasoning, something that's lacking in our society. And I heard Barbara Blake expound on him as a teacher. And even to the Rastafarian community, sometimes I feel like more of that needs to be introduced, that voice of reasoning. And the reasoning shouldn't just come from the teacher. It shouldn't just come from who we think should be elevated. But the smallest of child should have a voice. And I think in the spirit of my father, and he raised 6 children, and I would say that's probably his greatest success. His kingdom, his family, he used to refer to it as his kingdom. and say if a man can't control him kingdom, nobody else should listen to him. If you can't control your kingdom, your family, why should anybody else listen to you? So I grew up in the spirit, as I said, of reasoning, being able to have a voice, equality, as a female even, because I would, as I heard Barbara speaking, I'm thinking, in so many sections of Rasta or sects of Rasta, you don't have women speaking, and yet he was open to all of that. So he was a man before his time, and it's humbling to hear the truth being said about my father, because that's how I thought of him, as knowledge, someone who believed in equity, someone who gave people a voice when they didn't have one. And I am who I am, and I look at my siblings, and they are who they are today because we were in such an unusual home. And I have to always thank my mother for choosing this man. I mean, I have to.
We're good like that. Oh, I just want to say one thing, that no one is ahead of his or her time. They are in their time, right? Because the foundation always comes before the spire. And nobody is ahead. Matter of fact, because they said and they did what they did when they did it, it allows us to come along and say, make it common. So my apologies, ma'am, but because somebody told me never argue with a woman, and it was a woman who told, and
I'll let it slide this once.
Okay. You're going to say something good, brother? Yeah, man.
Greetings. Greetings in the name.
Before Dago speak, I would like to credit the Rastafari Foundation who facilitated Brother Dago to come from so far and I could come because one of the most important people who work with the Rastafari Foundation to bring him here.
Give thanks.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah. Rastafari. I must, first of all,
Just put it to your mouth. Say, speak into it.
yes,
All right.
I'm known as Dago, right? Popularly known as Dago. It all started at Tiverton Road, Mystic Revelation, Countazi. That's where that came, that was like a community center also. See, we used to meet there, I think it's on Sundays. Yeah, and Countazi would play music. You'd have a regular sound system first, and at 12 o'clock, midnight session, you have Countazi. And as a youth, I used to go to school, technical school. That touched me, right? That's the first thing, the music. Then I heard Dougie and some youth reasoning. I was just passing by, and I hear him and some youth reasoning. I said, no man, this man is normal. The man was reasoning some things that I never heard before, whether in school, church, or from parents. And it touched me. So from that day, anytime I hear that Dougie is at Warwick Hill or Slipdock Road or Windward Road, I was living at Windward Road, 99 Windward Road. So I had the opportunity of seeing him regularly because he must pass me Windward Road, right? And any time he pass, he have a stop for me because I go and stop him and reason with him and learn a lot. He was my first mentor in terms of Rastafari. And I'm a proud student. Now, after I went to Africa, Ian Planner, and Fillmore Alvaranga. That was, yeah, after I went there, my mother took me up to the United States, right? And I was there for about a year and a half before I see some Rasta man with red, gold, and green around them neck. And as a student of Dougie, I said, wait, which Rasta man them? That time no whole Rasta never there America, you know. As a matter of fact, I never said none. So when I said Dougie, Phil, and Sam, I never knew it was them at the time. Because they had a distance in a dance hall. And I look and I see red, gold, and green. See the red, gold, and green. And I said, where Rasta do America? You understand? So I said, I have to go up to them closer now. Then when me go up to them closer, and a Dougie, Phil, and Sam, man when I know and reason with. So the next question was, where Dougie do America? You understand? Anyway, went up to him, reason, and Dougie said, what happened, Dago? And the reason. So he told me that a brethren named Robinson, he met a brethren named Robinson and invited Robinson to come to the dance, it's called it session. So that's where I met Robinson. Robinson said all of us should meet at his home at Quincy Street in Brooklyn because he had something to tell us. When we went to Quincy Street, he told us that he had a copy of the land grant document that Haile Selassie gave to the Pipers, and he and the Pipers being good friends, the Pipers sent a copy to him. And on the land grant it read, lands graciously by His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie. 40 gashers of land graciously granted by His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie to the black people of the West through the Ethiopian World Federation. Right? It wasn't granted to the Ethiopian World Federation, you know, to the black people of the West, but through the Ethiopian World Federation, meaning that the Ethiopian Federation is supposed to monitor these lands. Right? Separate and apart from other lands in Africa that might be distributed. You understand? So, I had found out that Robinson was a member of the Ethiopian World Federation, and he had a charter. Charter meaning you have a permit to have a branch, right? But because he was so bent on going back to Ethiopia through the land grant, the headquarters, which is, I think, is Brian from Lenox Avenue, seeing the headquarters, didn't like him, put it straight. Because the Ethiopian World Federation in New York, they just had meetings and functions and all that. They wasn't in on a back to Africa business. See? We agreed that the land, the Ethiopian World Federation was an organ that was responsible for the funds, when you had the Italia-Ethiopian war, yeah. See, the black people of the West made contributions. Yeah, the black people of the West made contributions, right? And to compensate the black people of the West who made the contributions, that's how the Ethiopian World Federation was formed. See? That's how it was formed. But it stopped there in New York. But Robinson was looking further. So Robinson, Dougie, Phil, Sam Clayton and myself sat down and we organized a thing. Said, let us have a little organization that we can gather funds to send them to Ethiopia, because the reason why they came I saw them in America, is because their intention was to go to Ethiopia, right? on a second mission. This is not the government send them. Dougie take it up on himself. You know, see it apart from the government, to make a second mission plan that wasn't even on that mission. See? So it was Dougie, Phil and Sam. So we had an organization, and we gave it, the name that we gave it is the African Repatriation Committee, ARC. See? And because Robinson had a charter for the Federation, he used that charter to form that organization. It wasn't recognized by Brian and headquarters. No, it wasn't recognized. I think they defunct his charter. But he went on to do the work. See? So we formed the African Repatriation Committee, had meetings, weekly meetings, show subscription, had banquets and dance sessions in Brooklyn to raise funds to send the delegation, which is Dougie, Phil and Sam, to Ethiopia. Who was successful, raise the funds, send them to Ethiopia. They visited 5 countries, I think, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, five different African states. And finally, ended up in Ethiopia. That was the last state that they went to settle. They went there, and I want to tell you, it's funny. We was corresponding the whole time. And when they reached Ethiopia, it coming like him last in Ethiopia. We lose contact. Yeah, we lost contact. But we held the faith because we kept up the organization, awaiting their return. Yeah, right? Yeah. Anyway, raise the funds, send them to Ethiopia. Send them to Africa. When they reach Ethiopia, we lost contact until a couple months after, I think, they came back to America, to the ARC, and it was a joy. Douglas Mack stopped at nothing. Yeah, he stops at nothing because he's just a soldier for Rastafari. Yeah.
A soldier for Rastafari.
And we love him.
Now, hopefully, not hopefully, but I have to tell you this, because in one of my conversations with Brother Dougie, oh, by the way, he knew me when my mother was pregnant with me, because we were neighbors. That his family, my family were neighbors. So I trump everybody in here. Okay? I just had to say that. But he said that on the first mission, they were flying from Sudan to Ethiopia. And as soon as the plane that they were on entered Ethiopian airspace, they were met by some fighter jets from the Ethiopian Air Force. And the pilot told the passengers, including them, that if they looked out the window, they would see these fighter jets, and that they were there to escort them safely to Addis Ababa, because there were some very important people aboard. Yeah, you can make noise for that. And what I love to say in that story is that the Dashwa people of Jamaica earn the colors of Jamaica, proud, our pride, our glory, and them don't get no recognition down here. So, that is one. The next part of it is, has Rastafari forgotten Marcus Garvey and become a religion? That is for the panel and for you to think about. That's my question. Has Rastafari, we're listening to the story of Dougie Mack, and it says the thing that grabs me most is that reasoning, and reasoning and understanding. I like to point out that understanding is not agreement. But if I told you that 3 plus 3 is equal 17, you would tell me no. Why? Because you understand. Because if you didn't understand, you couldn't tell me yes or no. But understanding is not agreement. But understanding is a key. That you can, if we agree to reason, we can come to decisions that do make sense and that are factual, that are true. And that is one of the things I learned from Brother Dougie, to reason. So, in terms of reasoning, has Rastafari forgotten Marcus Garvey? Maybe I should qualify the question. You tell me, you know, because I don't want to say something and then people don't know what I'm talking about, or, you know, if you don't understand, I can rephrase. And it is for the panel. For the panel, go ahead. Anybody?
I would like to say this, that
yeah.
I would like to say that the African people in Jamaica, them not stop resist from the day when the first of them take we at gunpoint. We not stop resist. Some of them might be quiet, but we not stop resist from the first day them take we at gunpoint. And we plan, and we determine, and we keep quiet, waiting on the opportune moment, and we don't ask if we not push back. And these things, they go on and go on and go on. Them bring in Christendom. They bring in Christendom to get a docile, and them teach that to some of the people in captivity. And we know, the first thing we know is this. When we read the Bible, that's why it was forbidden for Africans to learn to read. When me read the Bible, from your little boy, me read the Bible, me say that Jesus never come for nobody worship him. And the same way me know that Rastafari never come as no religion. When you read the Bible properly, Jesus not coming for no one worship him. Him come to prepare some people, to push off Rome from off of them back. But him say you can't easy. You have to born again. You have to born again and tough and gentle at the same time. Gentle and but tough. And when I a little boy, same like with Rastafari, I find out why or who crucified the Jesus. Who crucified the Jesus? Rome, an imperial power. What them they charge for? What Jesus they charge for? Treason. No, I don't want. I want to load it. I come know you know. What did Jesus say charge for? Not treason. Treason now when you betray your own people.
Sedition.
Yes, sir. Treason now when you betray your own people. Treason now when you betray your own people. Jesus never betrayed his own people. The Sadducee and the Pharisee betray them own people. Him come to overthrow Rome. Them charge him with sedition. The same thing when Marcus gave a charge for. You know what sedition Marcus gave a charge for? Him come to overthrow this race. May I say race? And you read the Bible good. Them charge him for this sedition because he come overthrow Rome. And the local government. You know who's the local government in Jamaica?
Yeah.
The local government link with the international government, the imperialist government. Imperial means say I make empire. Imperialism is when you have a country and you want to turn other people's country in a part of your kingdom. That an empire want to turn it in. How Ethiopia become an empire and how Haile Selassie become emperor. The Amhara tribe conquer other tribe or other province and have them all rule under them. And Haile Selassie, father from him named Tafara, make him know say, that have it done. Did you know that? That from Haile Selassie, a little boy, him father make him know say, you say empire. where you capture the other tribe and you rule over the other province and the other tribe. That have it done. And a Haile Selassie start dismantle that. Haile Selassie from a little boy, that's why it's not a religion now. From Haile Selassie, a little boy, Mack and make him know, say, slavery must be abolished. Can you get imagine the shame? We are a Christian country, and we the Amhara is the leading Christian people, and we have slaves in the 20th century. It must be abolished. Him say, I'm not going to become emperor. The emperor, Menelik, of my first cousin, want me to become emperor. I'm not going to live long enough. Is you, little Tafari, going to get the power. Slavery must be abolished. The land, which is owned by the church. You have a church name. The whole way have Christian name, you know. Yeah. You know the word Christian name come? You have your family name, Cole. And then you have a church name. And then you have an everyday name. That's how you get middle name, you know. Middle name is your everyday name. And you have church name, Christian name, and you have your family name. The Christian people of Ethiopia, the Amhara and the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the church control the whole of the Ras land. Well and the monarch in a control, and the gentry and the nobility. Gentry at the top, nobility we have army, you know. No, nobility at the top, elite we have army, you know. Not only the monarch have army, you know. The nobility have army, you know. The gentry now are people who are educated and get work with nobility and king and educated, so them are gentry, gentlemen, the lowest family, you know, knighthood, are the lowest little dirty farmer of society, you know. Just a reach up, you know. And nobody them, you know. Them have the whole half of the land, and the church have the other half of the land, and the people have no land. The people that work as sharecropper for nobility and for church. And Haile Selassie father McConnell, make him know, say, just give me 2 moments, please. Make him know, say, when you get full power, you know, abolish slavery, give back the people them land, and stop empire. Make it be a federation. All people linked together. McConnell and Menelik used to send mission coming to the Western Hemisphere from in the 1800s. Come check black people in Mexico, South America, Caribbean, and North America. Now, Menelik and McConnell used to do that, you know. And Tafari coming up in them tradition there, you know. And Tafari, when Tafari get power in Ethiopia in 1916, and them not get full power, you know. Them get head of government and them run the government. Them not want to give him full power, emperor. And them run the country for 14 years before him get emperor. And the same year when Tafari get crowned as Ras, and the same year Marcus Garvey left here. And Marcus Garvey go expand on within 2 years Marcus Garvey reach America. He's the top speaker amongst black people in America, you know. And him say, all right, I'm going to keep a world convention 2 year time, 1920. I say 1920. After Tafari ruled 4 years, Tafari send delegate come at a place like this, you know. And so the people him get it, you know. And him tell Tafari tell him 2 delegates, you know. You see the panel up there, Alan and the lady there, and Dagwa and Mr. Gabriel Small. Them talk and Garvey. You not talk, you know. Tafari send 2 delegates come on the conference and say, don't talk, don't take no open mic. Him give them 2 envelopes, you know. 2 envelopes him give them, you know. 1 envelope having certificate of money. And the next having certificate of land. And him say when them go for the intermission, when them go yam the food outside, you just go against Marcus Garvey and pull him coattail. If you're about to pull coattail, when you draw somebody's attention, and just show him 2 envelopes and say, Tafari, I say, give this, you know. And him say, nobody call out him in the conference. Did you know that? Little more Marcus Garvey cuss Haile Selassie, you know, but me still love him. Because he misunderstand and he was frustrated. Like when I say Ras, I told me frustrated, I say Ras, you know. So Marcus Garvey frustrated, you know. And I started cuss Haile Selassie by mistake. And Haile Selassie knows him frustrated. 2 of them they are London, you know. And Haile Selassie don't utter a word. 30 years later, him come to Jamaica and as him land off of the plane. And the whole excitement done, you know. Him said to them, say, him say, I would like to be taken to the shrine of Marcus Garvey to pay my respect. So him not carry no feeling for all them outbursts of Marcus Garvey making up. I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, man, it's all right.
So,
one person can't talk too long.
And anybody else from the panel the question though is, has Rastafari forgotten Marcus Garvey? And I'm asking that question in the light or the understanding that when I first heard about Rastafari, it was like Rastafari, Marcus Garvey, you know, African unity, the whole black world, and, you know, I would say, like Marcus Garvey was kind of like a John the Baptist, if I might. All right, okay? And I'm asking the question because I don't hear much of Marcus Garvey and his program happening amongst Rastafari. I hear more Selassie, Jah, you know, religion. And I'm serious about religion. That is, it moved from a rebellion, a movement for freedom and independence to a religion, even though people say it's not religion, it's way of life. So I'm asking, has Rastafari forgotten Marcus Garvey? That is the building of a nation, the building of a society in which black people can live free, and because black people live free, we will see to it that the whole world live free. Is that understood? So the question. Yeah, man.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to put it several ways. One, in Rastafari, Michael Barnett teach Rastafari studies through African diaspora studies at UWI, University of the West Indies. All right. And I'm also Rastafari as well. So it's not just teach me, teach it. So what may I tell you now is that, number one, there's several mansions in a Rastafari. So everybody try to simplify this thing as just one homogeneous movement. No. As His Majesty said, in my house there are many mansions. So I want you to know about Bob Ashanti. For one thing, the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress, who wrap them head, and then they are Bulby, Baba Hill. And when them greet you, they say, Holy Emmanuel, King Selassie. So King Emmanuel was the one who founded the Bob Ashanti Mansion in 1958. Now, for the Bob Ashanti, there's a triune, three seen as divine personalities in that mansion. That is King Emmanuel, who founded the movement, Marcus Garvey, and Haile Selassie. So, no way can anyone say to Bob Ashanti why you just say no. Because every time... Huh? What? Well, who? No, what, the moderator, sorry, I'm forgetting your name. But has Rastafari forgotten Marcus Garvey? No. Certainly not Bob Ashanti, anyway, because he is a divine personality in the triune. The Trinity for Bob Ashanti, I want the people to know this, is King Emmanuel, Marcus Garvey, and Haile Selassie. So it's three divine personalities, right? So... No female in there, Jerry. All right. So, you're supposed to know that, though. And I just want to know, because I notice people them not really seem to know the idiosyncrasies and the intricacy of Rastafari. I simplify this thing. Nyabingi now. For Nyabingi, out of Nyabingi, the Trinity is His Majesty. His Majesty encapsulates the entire Trinity. See? 12 tribes of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel now. His Majesty is seen as the bridge between the first coming of Christ and the second coming. So the difference is 12 tribes of Israel. For them, the second coming hasn't come. Right? But by and large, His Majesty, for the rest of Rastafari, is seen as that second coming. In other words, the God in the flesh that people are waiting for. What may I say right now, see, is apart from 12 tribe of Israel, the rest of Rastafari are not looking for no second coming of Christ like a regular Christian. All right? I'm getting into theology now. I know but that is not
the question.
The question about Garvey now.
Yeah.
12 tribe hold that. Them hold Garvey as very special. And Naya Bing is still,
if I may,
still have a place for
if
Garvey.
I may.
Yes.
Speaking of the different mansions of Rastafari,
yes,
is one thing. Answering the question as to whether or not Rastafari, in their many mansions, have forgotten Marcus Garvey.
No, unequivocally no. And let me tell you, even the project of repatriation, which is central to all of the Rastafari houses, Garvey is the basis of that theme of repatriation, because Garvey was an advocate for repatriation. He said Africa for Africans at home and abroad, meaning that Africa, not just for Rastafari, but Africa for black people all over the world, must be seen as the center, right? It must be seen as a homeland, because you're home, even if you're living abroad here in the West. Now, Rastafari hold that concept dear to their heart. So once you talk about repatriation, you cannot avoid talking about Marcus Garvey. It is essentially part of the whole narrative. It is part of the conception, all right? So once you have that concept of who else talk about repatriation more than Rastafari? You see, whereas many people here are quite content to stay in the West for the rest of their lives, Rastafari are thinking about Africa right now. And you're looking at one of the persons who are thinking about Africa. May I due for flight next month.
Okay.
Right, for Panafest. Anyone interested?
Okay.
You can contact me.
Can't see him.
So,
okay.
me just come back. I was in Ghana in January. So enough man here, Rastafari, make the trip to Africa because they have that connection.
So essentially, you're saying, and I was hoping to get it from the panel, but you're saying that Rastafari has not forgotten Marcus Garvey.
Definitely not.
You know,
unequivocally, I'm saying no.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Most Rastafari in a no mansion, and I am in no mansion. Most Rastafari is not in a no mansion. The mansion business is an attempt to have an umbrella where control and say them speak on behalf of all Rasta. Most Rasta in a no mansion, and me, and me is no royalty neither.
Okay.
A lot of Rasta say that we is a royalty. Me have no royalty, and no one may rule over me.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, in light of the previous question as to whether or not Rastafari has forgotten Marcus Garvey, because Marcus Garvey was about establishing an organization of governance to run the affairs, the lives of our people, to do business, to educate, to have health care, and all those things he did with the UNIA. So in light of that question, when I ask the question of whether or not Rastafari has forgotten Marcus Garvey, I'm not talking about just the idea of repatriation, but of governance, of something that will defend and protect and organize black people. That said, I'm going to ask now if, and the panel is open and I guess the floor is open because we're reasoning in the spirit of Dougie Mack. Should or can Rastafari in Jamaica form a political party to govern Jamaica as a purely secular state, that is secular, not secular, but secular state, that is when Parliament open send up prayers. When you go to court and you say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me, no God, no communite. That is a truly, purely secular state. I'm not saying that people can't have religion and faith and their practice, but that the government does not involve itself in anything religious. That is one. And the other part of it, separation of church and state. And the other one is, can Rastafari form a political party to take control of Jamaica, to use Jamaica as a crucible, as the experiment as to how the whole world of black people can govern themselves, and Jamaica being the example and, in a sense, set the foundation for international black unity and governance. That is what I want to know. Oh, people, I'm going to give you, I just wanted to make the thing clear. I'm calling upon Rasta in the sense that I know Douglas Mack as a man of integrity. And that is what I'm talking about when Rasta would form a political party to pursue political ends, to take control of Jamaica. Not to complain that the PNP and the JLP not do nothing, but that the Rasta party would do something for the people of Jamaica. Is that possible? I should. That's the question.
Political action is seeking to get a critical mass, whether a majority or the biggest mass, a critical mass of agreement, so that them can take responsibility for a state apparatus. Rastafari alone is not the majority in Jamaica. And as I remind my Rastafarian brethren, I comment about three of them especially all the while. Miguel Lan, I don't agree with everything with them though, but I commend them. Miguel Lan, Stephen Golden, Asta Black, even though Asta Black joined the JLP. I commend them because them defy the forbidding of other Rasta who say we're not to deal with politics. Them defy that and them involved in a political action. And I commend them for that. No, Rastafari is not a majority in Jamaica. Therefore, you need the support of other people who is not Rastafari. And if you need the support of other people who is not Rastafari, you cannot act like Rasta superior to the rest of the people. Most Rastafari act and talk, say, Rasta high on the rest. Damn blasted foolishness. No set of people no higher than no set of people. And you're going to need the support of other people. How the hell are you going to get the support of other people when you say you're superior to them? It's a ruling class you want on. So therefore, you don't need a Rastafarian party. Rastafari must agitate to represent other people and everybody else. Not as Rastafari, no, as human being. You know, I represent them, say you is Rasta and you fit for. You know, understand? I think you understand me.
Please. Go ahead.
Your question was, should Rastafari be more involved in the political movement?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
In just my opinion and the way I was raised was, there are bigger issues than just the political movement, and there are things that can influence politics. You don't have to be the person who's seen to have influence. And we have to give Rastafari some credit, Rastafarians some credit, through the ages, that this small group of people dared to defy colonialism, And even the ones who say Selassie is God, I still think that is an incredible act of defiance. Yeah. And the ones that say Selassie and Rastafarian is a cultural movement, a socio-cultural movement, there's a big influence there. Look how far this thing has gone. So first, let's give credit where credit is due, that the foundation was laid and the small group of people are permeated throughout the entire planet. from this little rock we call Jamaica, that everyone knows us. It's Rasta that put us on the map. Yeah. People don't come to, initially Jamaica wasn't known. We would have just been any other colonial island floating in the Caribbean Sea. But because of Rastafari, we are distinctive as a country. So first we must sometimes remember to give yourself a little credit for staying the course. Now, in every movement, you're going to have fractions and different philosophies. And going back to your question of have they forgotten Marcus Garvey? Yes, some has, and some haven't. But what cultural, hold on a second, let me finish my thought, and then I'm going to, and that's my point, right, hold on. My point is, and you're right. My point is whether or not they remember Marcus Garvey is not the biggest issue. The issue is the philosophies that Rasta initially were about was to rise up as a people, as a black nation, to get rid of the oppression that is around us, free our minds. Because when your mind is free, keep the knowledge going. Pass on the good traditions that we had, because our history didn't begin in slavery. No, that's something that happened to us. It's not who we were. So we have to remember that we have to give credit where credit is due, and that this small group of people have put this country on the map, and it is a strong cultural movement of which religion is a part of culture. So whether or not some group want to say it's more religious, more social, more cultural, it's up to the individual what they take from it. But nonetheless, Rastafarians have made a strong impact, not just in Jamaica, but across the world.
No. It's not a free for all.
Tell me about it. When did it?
Gentlemen, should I say gentlemen, brothers, excuse me. I think, excuse me. Just a second. I want to know. Forgive me. I think this gentleman answered the question as to whether or not. No, don't do that, please. Don't. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. I have to say that we're here.
In the
to
absence of
celebrate.
reason, there's violence. So
We're here to celebrate the life, the contribution, and I would dare say the legacy of Douglas Mack. Okay? And for me, legacy is something that you build on. Because if people can't build on what you did, that's not a legacy. And in light of that, because there's going to be tomorrow and a lot of tomorrows, we're going to need health care, we're going to need food, we're going to need business, we're going to need schools, we're going to need all of these things. And I'm asking, my question in light of that, in terms of not a faction of Rastafari, but people who are Rastafari to form a political party to take control of Jamaica.
You mean a Rastafarian political party?
Yeah.
Foolishness.
Like I said, you want?
I don't want to move from the point where I think, like where I say, I think when people talk about Rasta and the movement, they might look on the way how Europeans set themselves. When a man say, so Rasta, where Rasta school there, where Rasta this, we just talk about Mack. We just talk about Mack, Douglas Mack, and everybody right as to say it was like a school. So school is not, you go build up a building and say that is a Rasta school. School is where I come out when I did listen to some man, and I come attack, and someone will listen to me, and it just go on. So it's not a thing where the Rasta hospital there. A Rasta did show the people them how to eat good food. We never go on to school to do that. So we don't have no hospital to say, hospital. We need to show the people them say, before you go to the hospital, keep yourself healthy that you don't have to go on a hospital. So it's not like say, why we Rasta school there, we Rasta hospital there. Marcus Garvey did talk about that, and we come fulfill that. We come show them say, watch you know, if you eat good food, the chances of you going sick and go to hospital, if I build no hospital to come claim say, boy, right now we did inject people with this, and get them better. See them like how we are talking about, you talk about industry. Rasta are the biggest industry about the place. Unity is not uniformity. It's not an army. You can be unified, but you don't uniform. And we're not searching for uniformity, we're searching for unity. And with the reality of it, and you hear when they say it, Small said, Rasta is not the majority in Jamaica. So it's foolish. It's just going to say you have Rasta party. Oh, Rasta going to turn government when the majority of people not going to vote for them. It's not like say we wouldn't want to get vote, but we are getting votes. Because the amount of Rasta were there so now wasn't here for when Mack did attack. So much Rasta never there about the place. And it's because man carry a message to and fro. When plan attack, man carry it go over this and carry it go over there. So that's why you have so much Rasta. They must say more Rasta there in South Africa right now than Jamaica. How that possible? And we don't have no school. And we don't have no church. Where we are the church for? Church building is not church. The man say, in your sweat there, and if you say it, you make it manifest. So we don't have to go like the logical way. We build a big church and say, Church of the Rastafari community. No, the Church of the Rastafari community is in every part of the world because of the mouth and the transmission of the voice. So we have to stop and look on it and say, boy, Rasta there, what do? We don't have no school, we don't have no hospital, we don't have no church. Where we are look for church for? Where we are look for hospital for? Heal yourself. I will show you how to heal yourself already. So you can't come turn around to Rasta and tell Rasta say, we must have a political party to go heal yourself. Where are political party to heal yourself for? We don't know, tell you already, we don't tell you already. When I talk about school, Rasta have school because Douglas was a school. Here Alan Cole come say it, when him say something listen to Douglas, right? You know much man I listen to Jerry Small and I say, boy, that man is like a school. Where you want more school for? When a man talk about teach Marcus Garvey at school, them can't teach Marcus Garvey at school because the teacher them don't know nothing about Marcus Garvey and them not listen to Rasta. Because Rasta did talk about Marcus Garvey and nobody never did listen and now them a look for teacher for teach man. Oh, you got to make dumb teach dumb. It's joke business. So, answer your question. I answer your question to say, when you talk about where Rasta school there and where Rasta hospital there, it is there all the wild virgin, but it's true, you know, say no building mark there. It's not the building. Rasta got through the whole thing already. Them never want it. You're the man, you just quote it a while ago. The people them say, if the world had listened to this little man, World War II would never begun. No, me I say, if the world was listening to Rasta, where them are going with us now would have never happened. And it not take no church building and no school room for talk because we are the original school room. When man did a smoke, them chalice and sit down round and a beat drum. Man I say mad people them there. The first time I hear about Warwick Island, you know, a Rasta man me used to go to Warwick Island sacrifice people, you know. But me I youth me hear that, you know. And you hear what we hear about Warwick Island now. You were talking about Warwick Island now. So don't look on it like the whole time thing about you have to have building and thing. All right.
May I? I asked a question. At least I asked a question for people to think. Because again, I want to say again that we are here to celebrate Douglas Mack. And one of the themes throughout all of what was said is reason. Douglas Mack always was reasoning. Now, when I'm talking about, and I want people to understand, and not agree, but to understand. We talk about things as if, like government, as if we are willing, let me say, we are willing to sit under a government of a JLP or a PNP or whatever. Because we are thinking that if we become government, we're going to govern like they do. But we'll be controlling the curricula so that Douglas Mack is not an oddity, but every teacher. It is not that people are going to become Rasta, but it is that Rasta is going to take care of all of the people in terms of the things that we need. Muta mentioned diet and hospital. Wouldn't a Rasta be teaching people about how to eat? That is when you go to school. Those are the things that would be taught you in school, not when you go up to the camp. But in terms of controlling government, every aspect of government that takes in care in mind, education, healthcare, employment, housing, all of those things from a Rastafari perspective. The people don't have to believe you, just like people don't have to believe PNP and GLP, but they live under those administrations. And I'm saying just as they run things and we might be on the side complaining, that is, we are willing to let evil people govern us, and I'm saying that we can govern, not rule, but govern evil people and govern a nation in the best interest of the people. That is what I'm saying when I ask my question. And for all of you, this is the second time I've been on this stage, and the reception is the same for the 2 times, but it's peace and love. Panel first.
Nothing divides the people more than politics and religion. You might disagree with me, but do your research. Nothing, I repeat, divides the people more than politics and religion. People close to me disagree with me, but I stand to believe that. Rastafari has its own unique way of gathering the people. If you check Rasta from oil time until now, it has evolved. It has. Yeah. You go to South Africa now, millions of Rasta. Ghana, Rasta. All white man say them are Rasta. Indian, Arab. We do our work. It will come like politics, but we don't call it that. It's our own unique way of dealing with the people. As Jerry Small said, you don't have to call it a political party because you don't have enough Rastafarian to make you win. So just deal with black people. You understand? Black people and all. That is where we come from. We come in like John the Baptist for black people.
As you mentioned, Brother Mack met you in New York.
Yeah.
With Brother Robinson.
Robinson.
So Brother Robinson had one of this, a constitution.
True.
Bequeathed to us by Haile Selassie I through his emissary Dr. Malcolm Bain.
See.
So this document is the governance of we, the black peoples of the world.
See.
We would like to unite, as the preamble said, we, the black peoples of the world, on a true thing. Unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, and self-determination to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage. Now, the governance of which he just spoke of, in a political party, like you said, nothing divides us more than politics. But community development, of which each chartered local can, in its respective community, organize and centralize the people. Set up, in it has a medical unit, it has a juvenile unit, it has a publicity, so it has the governmental structure for each community, the 13 parishes or 14 parishes. So what we need to do is organize and centralize ourselves, get to understand, or even better yet, comprehend this document. It is a constitution. A constitution is a governing document for a race, nation, or people. It was given to us king. See? So all we need to do is to embrace this document, and we'll be long on to governing ourselves. I can provide one.
You can see him because people are interested in knowing about getting a copy.
Yo.
This is it?
Yeah, it come like
go
away.
Let me give me a second, brother. No, let me thank the panel. Thank you. And I want to, on my own behalf, say 2 things. One is, they say that there are over 7 billion people on earth. And I had the good fortune of knowing Douglas Mack. That is one. And 2, he said peace and love and reasoning. And that is what we need to do, to reason, to think in peace and love. And I thank you very much, each of you and all of you, and on behalf of the panel and the program. Thank you very much.
Yes. So, all right now, we're not take no more because it will go on and on and on. It will go on and on and on. It's supposed to done. Okay, so we are saying now we're going to call back the mystic revelation of Rastafari for really seal up the program and all. And we give thanks for everything that takes place here. And we hope you have an insight into Douglas Mack and also an insight into sometime confusion. Okay, so we just started about the mystic revelation of Rastafari to seal up the vibes. Yes.
Yeah, we have to agree to disagree.
I don't want to do that again, you know, because I sometimes talk about this stuff when we agree to disagree.
Yeah, check. You know, as a youth.
Oh, I talk again. I'm talking again. Music now.
Yeah, man.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, introduce music.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We are built up to the music.
So, as we are saying, we're going to close in with the mystic revelation of Rastafari. Give thanks for coming. Continue listening.
Bless. Ever since I was a youth, I've always been searching for the truth. Here we are going, yes, sir. I grew up. I am the son of Count Aziz, so I grew up listening and hearing to all of this. Some people visit, but I was there. Ever since I was a youth, I've always been searching for the truth. But having been told so many lies, life, like good music, never dies. And so the question is posed, but only who in Zion knows, why is a man respected when he's dead? Shouldn't that respect be paid unto the living instead? Alive, a man is a sufferer of no mean order. But dead, he has 1 million and over. I must die one day, you all hear people say, yet praying for salvation with corrupted meditation, storing up wealth and ignoring their health. But guess what? A tree is known by its fruit. There's no life in lies. It's all in the truth. Kawa, you can't plant banana and expect to get breadfruit. Say you can't go to Zion with a carnal mind. Say you never enter Zion with a carnal mind. Say you can't go to Zion with a carnal mind. Carnal mind have to stay be Rastafari no one. No carnal mind. Ethiopians walk in a righteous way. Thanks for coming. Ethiopian walk in a righteous way. Ethiopians walk in a righteous way. Yes, the righteous way is to watch us. The Rastafari no one. No carnal man. Say you can't go more Zion, the carnal mind. Say you never enter Zion, with the carnal mind. Can't go more Zion with the carnal mind of the Savior. Rastafari no one, no carnal mind. Hear me. When I get bongo sick, when I get it, I will sing and shout. When I get it, I will say hallelujah. like a dove, if I had a wing like a dove, I would fly, fly away, but since I have no wings, since I have no wings, since I have no wings, I'm gonna sing, sing, sing. Since I have no wings, since I have no wings, since I have no wings, I'm gonna sing, 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 sing. Wish I had a wing like a dove, like a dove. Wish I had a wing like a dove, like a dove. I would fly, fly away, fly away. Hear me. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, Rastafari, there we wept, when we remember Zion. Can you imagine how hard they work? Take it down, take it down, take it down. Can you imagine how hard they work? A background master come and say, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How can we sing our father's song in a strange land? Carry us away, captivity is required from us now. How can we sing King Alpha in a strange land? Hey. Let the world of our home and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Father. So let the world of our home and the meditation of our heart be acceptable. Let the word be a lamp unto your feet and a guide unto your path. The path of the true and living God, the Rastafari. So we meet, so we greet, so we part. Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love. I live with you. Peace and love. Yes, I. Peace and love. Peace and love, yeah. Peace and love. Peace and love, I tell you. Peace and love. An invitation. Mother won't come. It's a peace and love. Rasta live with you. Peace and love. I live with you. Peace and love in Most High, chanting hallelujah. Tomorrow morning, bright and early. Yo, I must confess, I'm also a student of Brother Dougie, a student of Brother Dougie. Yeah, one go home, come now, one go home. Wango, Femi Wango, Wango, Africa, Wango, 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 Femi Wango, Wango, hey, Wango, 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 Femi Wango, Wango.
Rastafari, Brother Dougie. So we greet.
So we greet. So we part.
Ah, peace and love.
Ethiopia, the black man. This stick in a style now. Here we. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ethiopia, the black man's land. Ethiopia is where we belong. It's the land of my father who ruled eternally. Eternally. Yes, Ethiopia, the black man's land. Ethiopia is where we belong. It's the land of my father who ruled eternally. It's the land of my father who ruled eternally. It's Indian, the black man's land. Yes, Indian, that's where we belong. Yes, the land of my father who ruled eternally. Yes, the land of my father who ruled in a Mount Zion. So, I may say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hear me. Yes, it's the land of my father who ruled eternally. Yes, the land of my father who ruled in a Father in a Messiah. Yes. Father yeah. Yes, my Father who ruled. Thank you. Yes, the Jaja who ruled. Yeah, Rastafari. Yeah, we do give thanks for strength, we give thanks for guidance, we give thanks for everything. Rastafari live, you know, eternally, you know. Yeah, Rastafari. Illegal question.